The first of its kind lab right here in Central Ohio, all about finding new ways to use Ohio soybeans. Barry McGraw is the founder and CLO, the Chief Laboratory Officer of Airable here in Delaware County. This is unique in and of itself, been around for a few years now. Tell us about how this got started and where you are today compared to those first few days.
Sure, yeah, thanks for having me. I've been doing research for roughly 25, 26 years, background in engineering. I started out after school at Battelle Memorial Institute in Columbus, Ohio, the world's largest non-government R&D facility. So got a lot of great experience there, is very lucky. Have been working for the Ohio Soybean Council for 10 years now, or almost 11. But about 4 years ago we said, hey, why are we paying other people to do bio-based or soy-based research when we can do it ourselves? So called up Ohio Wesleyan University, cold called them and said, hey, can we rent lab? And it's kind of went from there. You know, the why did we do this? I think research and development, it was very costly. We were paying anywhere between $100 an hour to $350 an hour just for research, and we're not paying for someone that's going to spend 100% of their time developing soy-based products. We're getting 5% of someone's time, 15% of someone's time, and also we're working with organizations that don't necessarily, their end game is not to develop a product and create demand for soy, but maybe just to do the research. So kind of those two factors, bigger bang for the buck. Here we can do things so much cheaper, so much more efficient. And then probably the third major thing is working directly with commercial and industry to ask them what they want. And so we're not just doing research for research, we're developing technologies, products that have much higher probability to being on someone's shelf and creating demand for soybeans.
Serious business. They had me wear these glasses. I can't touch a thing in the lab. They said, keep your hands off as you work on these products. What makes this set Ohio apart as far as not just for soybean farmers, but for developing products for Ohioans and everyone across the country and really across the world when we talk about, as we'll talk about in a few minutes, some of the products that are coming out of this lab?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, I mean, someone can prove me wrong and I'd be happy to know, but we're the only research and development company that's only focused on one raw material, and that's soybean oil or derivatives of soybean meal, our co-products, and we're constantly, 100% of the time, have soybean hat on, looking at how do we utilize it, how do we create demand, what kind of products can we create, and we're working with large OEMs, we're working with very small, mid-sized companies, we're working with so many different industries. The oil and gas industry has been a large one for us, whether it's a downhole oil and gas or lubricant or a scale inhibitor to reduce the pressure in pipelines, or you know, the simple, you get your chainsaw out and you're using a DeWalt bar and chain oil. We're helping with those products and continue to help with those products.
Bottom line, you find more uses for those products, you sell more soybeans, the demand for soybeans goes up, the price of soybeans go up, and it all goes back to the farmer himself or herself.
Yeah, I mean, we've really, I've been really putting a lot of pressure on myself lately to how to get ROI. What do we use for ROI? How do we express that the farmers are getting return for their investment? And just one product that we've been a part of helping develop, the bar and chain oil. It seems very simple, could come in, you know, 16 ounces or 32 ounces or a gallon. Just that product was launched in April. It's in 16,000 Home Depot stores now. Folks can buy it almost anywhere. You can buy it on Amazon. But just that one product that's not even been a full year, we estimate that'll create about 55,000 bushels of demand for just one product. And we're working on so many different products and they just keep adding up.
Just out of curiosity, you know, the farmer every day checks their phone for the markets. Sometimes soybean meal is higher, oil is higher, beans themselves are higher, sometimes the markets go the other way. How does that impact? You mentioned that ROI, and sure, that's returning to the farmer, but you also have to be able to make these products consumer cost friendly as well. Do you ever watch the markets, and how does that affect what you do here at the lab?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, being in this space, it's value added, right? We're not commodity, so it's easier, right, than food or cooking oil. For example, the bar and chain oil, people are buying that on Amazon for a 16 ounce, so 1 pound. They're paying $10, right?
Wow, yeah.
$10 for. So that's the value added to the farmer. But we also, like oil and gas, those aren't products you're going to buy on the shelf. They're not shiny packaging logo. They're more raw materials used in industry, and we do a lot of that work because that really creates volume. Just the lubricant that we developed for the oil and gas, they'll use about 1 million pounds of soybean oil just this year, and it's early, and they're a small company, just to give you an idea of the oil and gas. And then, it just keeps compounding. I a little bit forgot what your question was.
Well, just about the price of soybeans. How does it impact what you're doing
price?
here?
Yeah. So when it comes to those raw materials or more industrial raw materials, price really matters, and it really comes down to functionality. So, for example, during COVID and during challenges with raw materials, that's how we started working with the oil and gas company, and they weren't able to get phosphorus. And that's the typical material used for scale inhibitors. So they came to us, we developed a soy-based non-phosphorus scale inhibitor. Yeah, it's a little more pricey per pound, but it solves kind of the challenges around the value chain. So whether it's value chain or whether it's the functionality, like soy can offer maybe a better process so you don't produce so much waste products. It's not always about the starting material cost, but it's also about the functionality, the value chain, and then can you produce a material that doesn't have the waste or doesn't have the co-products that you would with maybe petroleum.
Being a lab, this is all about trial and error, right? Have there been ideas that have come to you or things you've tried here that simply didn't work for what you were trying to accomplish? There's got to be, there's no such thing as a bad idea, right?
Yes.
But until you test it out and find its viability, maybe there is.
Yeah. I think that's one thing Airable we're really good at. Because we don't necessarily fund or we don't do one project at a time, and we're funded by Ohio, but we're also funded by Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, Kentucky, just recently North Dakota, and Michigan. We're able, when we're funded, they're more partners, right? So we can stop and start projects whenever we want. So if there's a tough challenge, we'll still try it, but we may not spend as much time on it or money on it just because, hey, we'll do some proof of principle. Does it work or not work? If it doesn't work, we just move on, we kill it. That kind of differentiates us from most research organizations. One technology is thermoset. So your automotive parts or your tractor parts that have like a thermoset would be almost like an egg. So you cook an egg, you can't recycle that or you can't remelt it. We've tried to get into that market with soy, using soybean oil in the thermoset market to produce car parts or automotive parts at sheet molding compound. But we've had challenges like soy. Those things are rigid. They have to withstand such high temperatures, such high pressures, chemical. So that's a recent project we failed at. We tried to replace some of the materials or additives in that, but we just couldn't. Soy is a bio-based material. It just could not improve properties or withstand the physical or chemical requirements that were required. So soy can't do everything, but we're trying.
For every one of those stories, you've got a couple of dozen of success stories.
Yes.
And you mentioned things with the DeWalt name brand and things you can buy at these big box stores like Home Depot. You're getting products out there that have your soy materials in them and things you've produced right here in this lab. What excites you about the future? What are some of the things in the pipeline that you're working on that we may see here in the near future?
Yeah, just talking, Stanley Black & Decker owns DeWalt, so all their brands are kind of open, and we're working with their exclusive manufacturers. So by fourth quarter, not only bar and chain oil DeWalt, but we'll have a grease, multi-use oil, a penetrant, a leather paste, even some very simple like bush trimming type lubricants. So, just that one company will have 10 to 12 products in the market that we can claim, hey, there's soy in that, and it's on shelves throughout the U.S. So I think that's exciting to be able to point to things, not just do the research.
Well, and you and I talked about it before we came on this podcast. It's a pretty cool story to tell when you have all this success, right? It's an easy story to tell, to show that ROI, to tell these soybean farmers that their investment is being put to use, and the return on investment is a fantastic story to tell.
Yeah.
For those soybean farmers and Ohio Soybean Council members that are watching right now, talk about the impact you're having here on their industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think just we're leading the way with respect to kind of this value added. It is small compared to like animal feed and other industries, but when you talk about value added, it's going to add to the bottom line for the farmer because it's not a commodity, and just to be able to tell the story, just the story alone, right? When you're able to, when our board members, Ohio or Illinois or our funding partners are able to hand a sample of like a DeWalt bar and chain oil to their neighbor and say, hey, this is where your checkoff money's going. I mean, that's awesome, right? It's much easier to explain why we're doing what we're doing when we have these successes and we have these products that are just going to constantly go into the market.
Before I let you go, you gave me kind of a sneak peek of things. We have some blocks of wood here. We have some roofing on the other side.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the things you're working on currently right here in the lab?
Yeah, I mean, so those are the things that are already going to happen, right? We're working on a little bit of everything. RoofMax was a product that we developed. It's a soy-based rejuvenator for asphalt roofs. So if your roof shingles are aging, they need to be just maintained, right? Just like your deck in your backyard. So we developed that. It's probably valued at about $180 million company now. This year they'll spray 24,000 homes with a soy-based rejuvenator and use probably 55,000 gallons of soybean oil. So we're a good partner of theirs, and we're developing the next generation product. The product that not only rejuvenates your roof, but cleans your roof, and then potentially adds maybe a hydrophobic coating to the roof so the customer gets a nice visual effect. And then through that connection, RoofMax, we've been talking to FEMA about kind of a blue tarp program. Why are you still using blue tarps
right.
in these hurricane situations? The labor cost of putting those up, they don't really protect the home, they don't really last that long. So we're looking at soy-based type materials to go in. Since we already have the infrastructure through RoofMax and we already have the dealers throughout the U.S., how can we solve some of these larger, bigger problems using soy, like the blue tarp program? So how can we replace that? Can we go in there and spray their roofs with soy-based material? And then that's just a few. Wood preservatives, coatings. We've been doing a lot of polymer work lately. Just because it's a large market, medical tubing, 3D printing, looking at like not only corn-based polylactic acid, but looking at soy flushable packaging material. So we're working with a small Ohio company out of Bowling Green where they produce a flushable packaging. So we're adding soy to that to make it more durable, but still flushable and there's actually an ASTM test procedure to determine if something's flushable. So just so many little different things, but always with the mindset of utilizing a lot of soy and creating technologies that are going to be products.
The possibilities are truly endless here at Airable Labs, funded by the Ohio Soybean Council. Barry McGraw, the founder and CLO, Chief Laboratory Officer of Airable. Appreciate the insights, appreciate the tour. A lot of great things going on here, and really that return on investment is pretty easy to see.
Great. Yeah, thanks for having me.
My name is Stacy Irwin. My husband Gary and I own K&S Millwrights. We are an agriculture-based millwright company. We build feed mills, also on-farm grain systems. We have 27 employees. We need to have good medical coverage for our team and their families. From a business perspective though, every year we're facing increasing costs and premiums. So to be able to pass on no change in premiums with the same kind of coverage to our employees was a great benefit. One of the health plans I had recently heard about was the Ohio Farm Bureau Health Benefits Plan. We found that we were going to have almost the same coverage with very little change in premiums, virtually the same deductibles, and better prescription coverage with no change in cost. That was why we went with the Ohio Farm Bureau Health Benefits Plan.
Learn more about the Ohio Farm Bureau Health Benefits Plan at ofb.ag.
Find out how Nationwide Agribusiness can help you grow your business. Get to know the people with the experience and knowledge to help you. Whether you are looking to protect your farm or ranch from the ground up, or need someone who understands your changing commercial ag needs. Find out how to better manage the risks of your ag business, or how quickly you can get back to business. Learn how you can protect your next with Nationwide on your side.
Welcome back to the Ohio Farm Bureau podcast. I'm Ty Higgins. In just a few weeks, Ohio Farm Bureau going to select individuals to take part in AgriPOWER. It's a leadership and advocacy development program designed for farmers and agribusiness professionals. The program focuses on public issues that are relevant to the food industry and also helps participants develop the skills needed to become effective leaders and advocates for agriculture by learning from experts in the field. Joining us, a couple of recent graduates of AgriPOWER. Rich Maxwell is the County Farm Bureau President in Perry County. Amanda Bush is from Morrow County. In full disclosure, AB is on my team. She works in communications, helping to deliver what we're doing at Farm Bureau to our members in the YAP program, also in AgriPOWER, and our young people that want to get involved in agriculture as well. Rich and Amanda, welcome to the podcast. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Rich, I want to start with you. Why did you take part in AgriPOWER?
Well, when I got on the board, I realized I really like policy and the advocating part. And after speaking to a few alumni, they said it would help me convey a little bit better and be more effective at getting that message across. So I went ahead and applied.
Amanda, why did you sign up?
I was ready to take a deeper dive into my leadership development, but also, I grew up in this industry, our family farms. And so I wanted to learn more about the diversity of ag on the leadership side, but also on the operational side.
The great thing about AgriPOWER, every year is different. You travel to DC, that's something that's pretty standard, but the issues are always a little bit different depending on the year. Travel across the country to learn about other aspects of agriculture in America. Amanda, tell me about your experience with AgriPOWER, some of the things you were able to do.
Yeah, so a unique experience for me. So I'm staff at Ohio Farm Bureau, and I hear about this program all the time. We promote this program all the time. But until you're actually in it, you don't realize how much networking, how much industry connections that you have access to. DC is always incredible. I love DC. But just the inner communications that happen in your class, getting to know different people from all facets of agriculture is incredible. Traveling with people, traveling with Farm Bureau, all of those things are incredible. But the networking, I will never be able to talk about this enough, is incredible with this program.
Rich, I mentioned you traveled the country. Where did your class go?
We went to Louisiana.
What'd
So
you learn
we learned about the port in New Orleans. I guess the scope of what actually goes on at these ports until you actually go there and see it in person. It's actually pretty incredible. It's very informative. We got to visit a sugarcane factory, Angola prison. Like, it was phenomenal. Like, learning about Louisiana agriculture, coming from Ohio was eye-opening, to actually see the difference and the similarities of how we operate.
Why are trips like that important, Rich, to getting more well-rounded, I guess I'll say, in the way you communicate about agriculture?
The trips are important to give you a broader idea of agriculture as a whole and not just Ohio agriculture. Just the scope of all of it, seeing how other farms operate and just some of the niche markets and that we had visited was incredible.
AB, where was your trip?
We went to Texas, all over, many different places in Texas.
What'd you learn there?
So they had cotton farms, cattle farms, as far as the eye can see, which, we have cattle here, but not multi-thousands of cattle. So it was incredible to see that. The cotton gins were really cool. That's not something that we can really see here either. And just the multiple miles and miles and miles of fields and just feedlots and everything that is in Texas. it really is bigger in Texas.
I know that you learned a lot, both of you, as you came through this program. What have you used in your career or as leaders in Farm Bureau at the county or state level? What have you used that you learned through AgriPOWER?
So something that I have used isn't actually agricultural specific. So one of the sessions that we do in AgriPOWER is a change in personality assessment. And so it really gets into your personality traits. It really gets into how you work with teams, how you work with people. And when I was starting in AgriPOWER, I was transitioning into a new role. And so and now currently, a year after graduating, the team that I work with is all transitioning now too. And so the thing that I use the most from AgriPOWER is working with multi-different teams, working with multi-different personalities, and learning how what I do, how I react to things, how other people react to things affects our teamwork and affects our effectiveness within the organization.
Rich, I have to ask, were you president of Perry County Farm Bureau before your AgriPOWER experience?
I was a new president. So,
what
yeah,
did you take
it
away
was,
from the experience? Because being a leader of a county organization as big as Farm Bureau is no small task.
well, like touching on what Amanda had said, the emotional intelligence part of it helped me tremendously as far as working with the team and, kind of building off of everyone's strengths to effectively convey what we're trying to do. Until then, like I had somewhat of an idea, but until going through that, it's really opened my eyes on using everybody as a team collaboratively to get things done.
I mentioned at the onset of this conversation that registration is open for the next AgriPOWER class, but deadlines are looming. Amanda, as you think about maybe a type of an Ohio Farm Bureau member that you might recommend for this AgriPOWER class, who do you think of?
I think of somebody who has a passion for advocacy, maybe not necessarily policy, just advocacy in general. Someone who wants a seat at that table at the county, state, and national levels. Somebody who wants to grow in their leadership confidence and grow in their organizations or their businesses.
Rich, who do you have in mind?
Basically, anyone that is passionate about the grassroots, starting at your local level, even if you're not real active with Farm Bureau, even, Soil and Water Board, anything you're a part of, this class will definitely give you a step up in the right direction to do a lot better.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard the words life-changing when it comes to AgriPOWER, at least professionally speaking. There are so many people that have leadership roles, not just through Ohio Farm Bureau, but through, as Rich mentioned, many different organizations that have gone through the program, been able to really amp their professional game and really tell the story of agriculture in a whole new way, thanks to the AgriPOWER program. You can find out more about it online right now at ohiofarmbureau.org. Just search AgriPOWER. And as I mentioned, registration is open, but deadlines are coming up in just a couple of weeks. So do it the sooner, the better. Rich Maxwell is Perry County Farm Bureau President. Amanda Bush from Morrow County, working with me and my team at Ohio Farm Bureau, both graduates of the Ohio Farm Bureau AgriPOWER program. Appreciate you taking part in the podcast, and thanks for all the insights.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for having us.